Today I'm going to try to draw this view of the riverbank in Tavira, Portugal, and if it looks like I've already done a bit of drawing beforehand, that's because the drawing from the opposite page has bled onto this one, which is cool. It's happened to every opposite page as well, so that's very cool. Anyway, if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me, so please don't let it bother you because I don't want it to bother me. Anyway, I feel like today is an ambitious one. It's not that there's necessarily a ton to work with here, but actually that's kind of my problem. There are a few key features to draw, namely the bridge, the flowers, and the buildings. But I'd say other than the bridge, everything else is deceiving. I learned this early on in this process, that the simpler something looks, the harder it tends to be to draw with any sense of realism. Subtlety is the name of the game, and I don't have a lot of that in my arsenal. So we're just gonna have to figure something out. Also, pretty sure the flowers are the same stupid bougainvilleas from Greece, and I desecrated those when I tried to draw them, so I guess we'll see what happens. By now, you can see that I first sketched in a rough outline of the scene, which I think helped me keep track of the composition, and then I moved on to the bridge. Like I said, the bridge is the only thing here that gives me a lot to work with, so I was eager to use it as something of an anchor. With the bridge comes the stuff on it and underneath it, which includes the riverbank itself, but again, that only really helps with the whole composition thing. I also make it a point to flesh things out in this area. I've spoken about this plenty of times before, but I go back and forth with whether or not I should build the entire image incrementally or focus on individual regions. And it really just depends on the scene. So here, while I did do that quick little outline in the beginning, I felt like breathing some life into the bridge would help me see what other areas might need to live up to, in a sense. Like if I can add a certain amount of detail to this one part, maybe I'll know to maintain that level of detail throughout. Will that pan out? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just glad I started with this part of the scene. From there, realizing that while I appreciate the presence of the flowers for the sake of intrigue and composition and whatnot, I move on to the other architectural stuff because I'm kind of scared of the idea that I still have to draw the flowers. When in doubt, draw some straight lines. I think Plato said that. Yeah, so the main building on the left, the one that connects to the bridge, is a perfect example of what I meant earlier. All that stuff about very little to go on was directed primarily at this. Also, the angle is kind of weird, and any concept I have of perspective gets muddled anytime something is slightly off kilter like this. It's confusing, but I don't think I do half bad. It might be technically incorrect since I just used my eyes and kind of relinquished myself of any of the rules, but I think it looks fine. The windows look okay, and my subtle attempts at wall texture look pretty good, if I do say so myself. Real quick, two things. One, sorry about the lighting, changes a lot. I can't control it, and I've honestly stopped caring. It used to bother me a lot more, but I've realized that it's just part of this. It's part of drawing outside. Speaking of that, I'll be in a pretty cold place soon, and then another one after that. And I don't know what I'll do there. Maybe I'll still film the videos, but I don't know, draw inside somehow. I'll figure it out. The second thing, of course, is that if you happen to be enjoying the video, you should like it. And if you're enjoying the whole series of videos, you should subscribe. In fact, do both of those things, regardless of how you feel. Okay, so the deal with the flowers in this. I hate drawing flowers like these, especially up close like this. But also, that means I need to keep drawing them. But also that means they'll ruin more of my drawings. It's a pain in the neck. So if I had any advice for my past self, the one drawing this, I might tell him to look more closely at what amounts to the front of this plant. At the time, I was envisioning this as extending out of the wall, just completely pointing to the right, which is kind of true, but not really. It's actually more wrapping around the wall, which means that the left part of it is almost facing me. You can see in the reference that it doesn't just jut outward and face the right side of the frame. Instead, there are plenty of leaves where the tops are visible, which means they're facing in our direction. That would suggest that I have this sort of wrapped shape, even though obviously most of the plant is facing to the right. Additionally, maybe I should have kept my shadows to a minimum and drawn most of them in the bottom center rather than like all over the place. I probably should have kept this plant broadly simple, but with some high detail thrown in here and there. Would I have known what to do with that advice? Probably not. So here we are. As you can see, we have a few weird issues like the tall and narrow arch of the bridge, the flowers, obviously, and something that I referred to last week, foreshortening, which you can see not happening. We're at the relationship between this curved structure on the left and everything else in the background. The curved structure should be much larger, but it isn't. And that makes it seem much further away than it actually is. So maybe foreshortening is happening in a sense, but only to the curved structure. Maybe that's for lengthening. I don't know, whatever. I think you can see what I mean. Anyway, on the whole, I think that the scene came together quite nicely, but a handful of small things certainly hold this back from being a good, complete drawing. So let me know what you think, like and subscribe, and tell your friends to watch a video or 10. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.